Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We got a good day ahead of us, I hope there. Hopefully, actually, is it supposed to rain some more today?
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't,
I don't
I
think
mean,
it
it's
is.
going to be a good day, Logan, because we're going to make it a good day. But it's, I was actually pulling up the weather app here. High of 54 today. Currently feels like 32, which 54 is not too bad, but I
No.
think cloudy. Yeah, the rain, I think, may have already passed through. It was raining. I could hear it trickling down the gutter when I woke up. But yeah, expect another round of winter weather.
I saw that crap. Yeah,
Like an
man.
inch of snow, excuse me, on Friday night. But yeah, we continued to ride that roller coaster. It was what, basically 80 all weekend.
Yeah.
It was like, I think we were on the way home from church Sunday. The thermometer on my wife's SUV said 78.
78 degrees. And now you got the winter weather coming back. Yeah, it's crazy. It's been, I don't know, been the wildest freaking thing ever.
And it's supposed to be warm again next week. I say 60 and 70s for next week, but yeah, winter ain't over yet.
No, and man, that's what I was telling somebody, that's what makes it tough. Because like if it once it had been 30 and 20s and stuff, like 50 degrees feels like summertime.
Right.
And then it gets up to like in the 70s, like you said, knocking on the door of 80. And then when it drops back down to 40s and 50s, it feels like it's freaking freezing.
Yeah. Well, it's I think according to that forecast, Friday and Saturday nights, or maybe the only two nights, it's actually getting below freezing.
Yeah.
But yes, the snow shouldn't stick around. But yeah, now they're saying an inch according to that service. But
Man.
yeah, it's I don't know. It is a little hard on the animals. I feel like we just because they're out there in it. But I like what we just went through overnight when it's raining in the 30s is probably
Brutal.
worse than the
Yeah.
20s and snowing. But we did have another calf yesterday. I think I'm down. I have about 10 more left to calve. We calved out most of them already. We got, I guess, about exactly a month left in what should be our calving window. But yeah, you been doing any more cleaning up?
Yeah.
I guess
did.
until it got wet again.
Yeah, and I did. I ran in the wet. I actually, I have never gotten close to really getting stuck, but I actually had to pull myself out of a hole there the other day because, the way I do it, like I'm taking like a full rotation swing with the track hoe as I'm going down because it's just, I mean, it's solid trees. Like I'm gonna literally have to go down and back and down and back, like over this entire farm, just pulling trees up. And it was a swamp when I got out there, but I went ahead and was running. Well, when I pull up some of these big trees, I pull them up and then I'll like shake them to try to shake all the dirt, I'm not going to shake all of it, but shake most of the dirt off that I can before I put them over there. And I'll kind of take the bucket and usually if it makes a big hole, I'll sweep the dirt into the hole.
Yeah.
And, but it's still, when I like walk through it with the track hoe, a lot of times it'll be kind of sinking down in that spot. And man, I was in a really wet spot. Well, actually, and this is I had something pretty wild happen a little bit on there. I had started I was down in there pretty good. Like the track on one side was actually level with the ground, the top of the track. Like it was
pretty deep hole.
Pretty dang deep. And I had to actually, because I went to walk out of it and it was just spinning, and I was like, all right, I better quit because that's how you freaking bury them.
Yeah.
And so I took it and turned around, and I put the bucket down, and I just pushed as I was walking out. I just pushed myself right out of there. That's a good thing with a track hoe. You can usually kind of unstick yourself.
Yeah.
But man, I had a kind of a close call. I had pulled up several trees, and I had them like all in the bucket, and us rotating it around. And one of them slipped. I guess I probably had multiple in there, and it was like not letting it fully clamp because it was too many trees. Yeah. And one of them slipped out when I was coming back around, and I had my top glass open because, like I said, it was like freaking 80 almost, and It's got a little solid bottom glass. It's probably, I don't know, 16, 18 inches tall or something. And the tree fell down. Well, it actually came into the track hoe, like with me.
Mm.
The root wad, like part of it did, and it blew the little window like out, and it came in. It was wild, man, because it landed like the window was laying on my legs, and the root wad was right there. Luckily, it had kind of like hit my tracks and stopped it some, because man, it could have like crushed my legs.
Okay.
Like I
Yeah.
was like, wow, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Farm safety.
yes, which I mean, man, doing that it is very dangerous. Like I can't stress that enough. Like Levi, he's like, I want to come ride the track hoe, and I'm like, nah, sorry, buddy, no,
Right.
nobody rides passenger on the track hoe. But that's pretty much all that I've been doing. I will start getting the planter ready. Well, it'll be later into March, but um, that's about it. Kind of figuring out the game plan for this coming year.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. We're getting ready to buy calves, which we're going to talk about the markets here in a few minutes, but it might be a, a better time to buy. The cattle market has taken a hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just these last few weeks. But I don't know. Yeah, we're trying to wrap up calving and getting ready. Yeah, we got some grass. It's just about ready to graze. Not quite. Yeah, normally I'd really be looking hard at getting ready to fertilize, but yeah, we're going to talk about prices in a few minutes. We've hit on that. I feel like just about every week in some sense, but you're ready to do some spraying too. Which I imagine y'all are as well, doing some burn down for long.
Here before long, yeah, because I mean, I'm gonna plant the earliest. I'm gonna have the first week of April is my goal to plant some beans, actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of the farms that I'm losing. I don't know if I've ever touched on it much, but I'm losing a farm to solar panels. Um, Probably my best farm. Gonna lose it to solar panels in August. So I'm planting some beans in April. I hope the first week of April, and gonna go in and try to cut them in August.
Well, well, you have to do anything to terminate them early to
Yeah, I'll have to spray some gramoxone over them.
get them dry enough to harvest.
Yep. That's the only, when you do plant early beans, you usually will have to go in and kill them.
And a lot of times, can you get a little bit of a premium for having them
Yeah,
delivered that
well,
early?
tell you what was kind of funny on that. I had back whenever prices were still about $12.70 to $13 on beans. I was like, all right, I'm gonna cut these in August. So I called CGB and I was like, hey man, I'm gonna have some bean delivery. I want to know the price for August. And he was like, August delivery. And I said, yeah. And he was like, man, we don't hardly get any in August. He said, you'll get a pretty good premium. And I was like, okay. And it was like $14.70, which is pretty dang good.
Yeah, that sounds unbelievable.
Yeah. But now the normal time is about $15.10. So like at the time it
Yeah.
was a pretty substantial increase, and now the markets have gone, they're just so bonkers right now that
Oh, yeah.
like the regular crop is now even higher than the premium. So like now I could probably book them for, hell, I bet you could get $16 for August delivery.
Yeah, it's yeah, things have gotten wild these last few weeks, but yeah, I don't know. We've been trying to think about getting ready to do a little spraying some pasture, but I don't want to spray and then have to winterize the sprayer again.
Well, that's what we've said. Yeah.
Yeah, and so well, like this weekend, it's gonna be like mid-20s on Friday and Saturday night. So, and now it's done gotten too wet again anyway. But yeah, we need selectively. We're gonna spray a little bit of pasture. I always hate to spray much because broadleaf weeds are really what we're spraying for.
Yeah.
And there's nothing right now that you can spray to kill your broadleaf weeds that's not going to kill your clover, and so, or at least hurt it really bad. So we just selectively spray the worst spots because we like having a lot of clover where we can. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess to talk about the markets, the question that we had from last week or that we had submitted kind of revolved around that.
Yeah.
It was
Well, hold on before we get into that.
Okay.
Did you see what Biden said last night or yesterday?
if it was yesterday, no.
I
I
think
haven't
it was
really.
yesterday. Yesterday, sometime in there, I don't even know the full context of it. I just saw the clip of him, and I was like, man, if Trump had said this, there's three congressmen.
Okay, I saw like a meme or something. Like I got home last night. I cut on actually Tom and Jerry on YouTube for my son while I was trying to get supper ready because my wife and daughter were at softball practice. Like I am so unplugged from the news.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't pop up somehow, just like
Oh, it
through
was on
social media.
Instagram is how I
Well,
found it.
I kind of saw it. So go ahead because I don't know the full story.
Well, he's talking about these congressmen. It's three of them, and I guess two of them are black, and I don't know what the other guy. I don't know if he's Hispanic. I don't know, but
Yeah,
he
I saw just like a picture, and I wasn't even sure if that the picture actually went with the story. You know, it was one of those deals
yeah.
where I was like, I'm not gonna. I
Well,
just scrolled on past.
he was like, these congressmen, they're the real deal. Like he's like, two of them, they look like they probably played ball. I'm sure they played ball somewhere, and the other one, he looks like he'd bomb you.
What?
Yes. and
What?
and people even like they like kind of laughed and were like clapping.
He is. I think even the left, even the media, like they view him as just the senile old man. Like, yeah, he can get away with saying that. You know, you never know
Good
what
old Uncle Joe,
good
man.
old Grandpa Joe. What's
Yeah.
he gonna say?
Yep.
You never know what's gonna come out of his like that. He really is at that point where he can get away with saying whatever
Oh
because
yeah.
everybody knows he's not there.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
because like I had seen just a little
well,
short.
and there wasn't any more context to it that made it
No. I mean, like
more okay.
no, he's just like these guys are the real deal. Like he
Well,
kind of
like
even
saying the
laughed.
guys could have played ball. I can see that where that's a compliment.
But yeah, being like, man, you look like you'd bomb this place. Like,
like
that's
no. I guarantee there would be nothing. You would not be able to turn on a news show
Oh, yeah.
today, radio, TV, anything, if Trump had said that without people calling for impeachment.
yeah. Oh,
know,
he'd be super racist. Yeah. I mean,
this is racist. He's so unpresidential. Like the rest of the world is laughing at
yeah.
you're just,
And that is one thing, that they always would say that when Trump, they'd be like, the world is laughing at us. The world is truly laughing at us right now.
there may have been some foreign news agencies and stuff that thought Trump was, but now that they respected us, I don't know that they saw us as, and he was a strong leader. Did he
Yeah.
always act in the most presidential way, which whatever that is? I won't argue that point, but yeah, now the people that really matter are actually laughing at us right now.
Yes. Yeah. It's,
Between China and Russia, like they give zero shits about
oh
anything
man.
he says.
Yeah. They have no, well, that was kind
we're
of,
about to make an oil deal with Venezuela.
yeah.
Like, are you kidding me, man?
And we've got that's what's so, wild. I'd seen reading about the pipeline, that he shut down here.
Oh, well, yeah, you see all the memes. It's like Babylon Bee or whatever said, we're going to sell Alaska back to Russia so we can get the oil.
Yeah.
so we can start drilling there again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And liberals wish we had a pipeline to bring us oil,
Yeah.
out of Canada or what. Like, yeah, no, we had all these things actually,
Yeah.
And it was, anything about it, I guarantee you, like, he personally has no problems with all that. It was just, that's a liberal talking point. We got to shut down all this domestic oil production because that's what the Democratic,
The platform,
party, that's
man.
what the party line is.
Yeah.
And
actually, I've seen the kind of from a land perspective. I've seen the before and after, like where they run the pipelines. And then if you compare them, because obviously the like electric cars is big now. That's like the route they want everything to go to. And when they run these pipelines, after it's set and done, the ground, you can't even tell there's a pipeline underneath the ground. Like it can be farmed, any of that. It looks fine. But like where they mine the lithium out of the ground, It looks like the Grand Canyon. Like, have you seen the pictures of where they mine lithium?
I hadn't.
Dude, it seriously looks like the Grand Canyon. And another part that's like pretty unnerving to me, um, the China, I think, has the largest lithium supply, like
Lithium stores or
in the ground or
yeah.
whatever. So we're gonna pretty much have to go with China on some stuff like for that. So I don't know, and I mean, look, I don't care if somebody wants to drive electric or whatever, but I mean, at the end of the day, like even Elon Musk actually tweeted and was like, the U.S. needs to start drilling for oil. Like, and I mean, he
Right.
directly benefits from the electric push.
Right. Well, and a lot of those people are like, well, you should just have an electric car. Well, you know, maybe for just a little commuter car and for somebody who can afford one,
Yeah.
too. But I was listening to another podcast one day and they were talking with he was some kind of an engineer and just talking about how for like big ag and like certainly for like air travel and things like that, you can't get away from liquid fuels.
Yeah.
Not yet. Maybe that's, out there on the horizon.
Yeah, I don't know about an airplane. I didn't even think about that. I wouldn't want to
Well,
hop on an electric
just
airplane.
how energy dense like liquid fuels are. And there's alternatives to just, I guess, petroleum, which
Yeah.
again, we were going to kind of hit on that here in a little while with, the biofuels and
Man, yeah, it's a big difference there. Yeah, well in California, I think was see they were actually even telling people to charge their cars after like midnight because it was like
because the power grids,
overloading
yeah.
the power grids.
Yeah.
Like and I mean, hell, I've even heard some of these guys, they'd go like, Robert was in California here recently. They went to San Diego and he said they'd go to the gas stations and they'd see the little electric ports over there and guys would be sitting over there plugged in. They'd just be like hanging out. And he's like, I think they had to stay there for like 4 hours to charge their car.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a long ways from being there in my opinion, but no, yeah, we're going to dive into the markets. The question there, you want to read the question?
Yeah, I got the question.
Give it a shout out. Appreciate Paul Spoon Jr., man. We appreciate the question.
Yes. So question is, what are the impacts going to be or how are they going to be felt in the ag industry because of what's going on right now in Ukraine? Especially referring to prices. And when gas and diesel, and he said gets up to $5, $6, or $7, which just tells you how crazy things have gone. He sent that question, a week ago?
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of places gas has already surpassed even what he was predicted. And folks turn to corn or even peanut oil or any, soybean oil, any of the bio, oils and diesels and whatnot. What's the price of those crops going to do? And yeah, again, just because his question's not even that old, but just a week old, I think we've already seen a lot of what it's going to do.
Yeah.
He kind of predicted the future a little bit.
Yeah.
It's so apparently, and I'm not a market expert by any means, but apparently a lot of the grains follow oil, like for a lot of that reason. A lot of our corn does go into ethanol production. And of course, price of gas goes up, price of ethanol is going up. And I don't know. I know obviously soybean oil is a big product, or one of the big. That may even be. You may know as far as the price of soybeans, how much that is affected by. Is oil now the primary product?
Yeah, I mean it pretty much
valuable
drives
part of the soybean.
I was gonna say it really is driving them all up. Yeah, I mean like, it was kind of a funny joke, like. Not even a joke, but they used to talk about it on this farming forum I'm on, and that's what the guys would always be like. I wish gas would get back up there to about $4,
right?
Because when gas was cheap, I mean the oil prices are cheap, and so then like I said, all the commodity prices follow.
Yeah. So for anybody listening that's just totally not in the ag world or doesn't follow the markets or anything, grain markets have, gone haywire just through the roof.
Yeah. I mean,
the kids say to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah. The Doge or Doge, whatever the dang coin is.
Crypto coins.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, grain prices, specifically wheat, more than the others, have gone to the moon.
Yeah,
Or we think they've gone to the moon. every day they keep climbing.
Yeah. I mean, the beans are wild. I mean, it's for reference. Like, this is what I always, because people that don't know, you tell them a price and they're like, and you'd be like, my God, look at this price. And then, but you tell them, but they don't have reference.
Anything to the average person.
Yeah. Like, it'd be like if you were explaining to me veterinarian expense or cost here, and I'm supposed to know a reference frame.
Yeah.
So like, man, 2 or 3 years ago, the years all start to run together, but 2 or 3 years ago, man, I sold beans for $8 a bushel. Now, I'm gonna really simplify this because we do have some people. We got quite a few people that are not farmers. So the way this works, you sell a bushel of grain, like,
yeah, that's the units we use.
Yeah, bushels
at least in this country. Yeah.
It's about 50, going to be about 54 to 56 pounds or so, typically, for a bushel. That's whether that's corn, soybeans. And so you cut it like 1 acre of soybeans. Let's say it'll produce 45 bushels of beans. I'm trying to just kind of keep it simple. So that's kind of the metric. Corn for around here, I'll just say 170 bushels to the acre. So that's what you can get off of like 1 acre. Now, you've got these set prices and it's per bushel. So 2 or 3 years ago, I sold beans for $8 a bushel. And I mean, that was pretty tough. Like, that was like, man, scraping by at that. And now, right now, I just looked, beans are $15.10. So just damn near double what it was. Sold corn for $3.30. I mean, for a little bit, I thought corn was going to drop below $3 a few years ago. And right now, corn is knocking on the door of nearly $7. But wheat is nuts. Wheat, used to, people would get $3 for wheat. Like, that was the bushel price, $3. I remember
a lot of people around here just wouldn't even raise wheat, even though we can grow. We're not a major wheat producing area in the country, but we can grow wheat just fine. But a lot of people are just like,
yeah.
And for people who don't understand too, we grow wheat in the wintertime.
Yeah.
We plant it like October, November.
Yep.
We harvest it like late May and June.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times we'll call double crop it.
Yeah. You plant that money come in then.
Yeah. You plant that, you harvest it in June, say, then you have a late soybean crop. Just like you were talking, you're going to plant some beans in April, but you can plant a late soybean crop. And yeah. So it's almost, a lot of people would have wheat just because.
Yeah. Well, you got that.
You had a little cash flow.
I was going to say, you had money, because that's, I don't think some people realize that most like farmers, our income typically comes in once a year.
Yeah.
At like the end of the year.
Like a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, and I mean, I always tell my wife, I'm like, for like just a couple weeks, we look like some serious ballers.
Oh yeah.
And then the bills have to get paid.
Yeah.
But wheat is just, I mean, it blew my mind the other day. Because like I said, $3 used to be kind of the normal. I remember I had wheat a couple years ago because the price hit $6.15. And I was like, man, that's big money on wheat. And so I locked in $6.15. And man, it almost hit $12 the other day, which is just unheard of on wheat.
Well, I've talked to 2 people in the last week, just local guys, and just I don't even really know, I don't keep up with whatever, have you got any wheat? Both of them said they did. Then they both followed up with,
they booked it at like $7.
Yeah, they're like, it got to $8 and I sold.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I still don't feel too bad for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that still sounds really incredible. But yeah, because you don't know. I mean, especially when you're talking about crazy ass dictators, half a world away, what's going to happen.
Well, that was the problem. That's always the problem. Hindsight is always 20/20, and that's what yesterday we were talking. It's like, damn, I wish I had a bunch of wheat now. I would have planted it if I'd known this. But then, that's exactly what I said. Like, I would have, if I had it, what I would be doing right now is kicking myself because I would have booked it at $7 or $8 because I'd be like, this is crazy. And I mean, I don't ever book 100%, but I'd book definitely the max, like more of the majority of it would be booked. So I would maybe get to touch a little bit of that $11 market or something, but it would be like what's remaining, and it
Yeah.
would not be
Well,
the
that's
majority.
but both of these guys were like, yeah, I'm booked about as much as I can be right now.
Yeah.
Just because if we don't make as good a crop as what we're hoping, but yeah, a lot of people just quit raising wheat around here just because they're like, yeah, I mean, it's just not worth it. It ain't worth
Yeah.
nothing. So, but yeah, and of course grains, and it's a little more complicated than just simply saying, when corn and bean prices go up, feed or cattle prices go down. But there is a lot of that to it because actually, I'm getting feed delivered today. I called yesterday and ordered some. They called me yesterday afternoon and said they'd deliver it today.
Yeah.
I'll let y'all know next week what I'm paying per ton. It will no doubt be the most I've ever paid
Yeah.
feed. But
Now,
it had been trending up for the last couple of years.
Is that why the feeder cattle prices drop, because you're having to
A lot of
spend
it,
so much more?
man, it's and when one of the reports I listen to just about every day, guy, he plays bass like everything, like rarely does anything like crazy happen in other markets that helps the beef or excuse me, helps the cattle market, not the beef market.
Yeah.
Price of beef goes up at the store all the time, but that does not always
Yeah.
correlate to higher cattle prices. But yeah, the cattle markets over the last couple of weeks have taken kind of a pounding. I mean, what was a shame was that they were really doing well. Like everything
Yeah.
was finally, it's like, all right, and all the fundamentals are still there. Everybody will tell you, like, cattle should be high for the next couple of years, even just because of where the, supply and demand,
Yeah.
the true fundamentals out there. But right now it's, I got lucky because I guess 2 weeks ago today, as we sit here and record, I sold just a few, and it was like that afternoon or that night for us. I guess would have been the next day over there.
Yeah.
Was when Putin officially invaded, and that's when the markets really just kind of went crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody got real scared. Which I don't know. I think all markets, volatility is not a good thing. And yeah, the grains are one thing, which I don't really pay that close attention to the stock market, not on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I think the stock market has really kind of floundered out through all this, hadn't it?
Yeah. Like I did buy, I tell you, I bought some stock. I've got a little stock, but I bought some in Black Rifle Coffee when they went public. I was like, well, I'll buy a little stock in there. And it's still, it has not, I mean, and maybe I'm not a huge stock market guy. But I don't think I've seen quite the volatility in that as I even have in the commodity world. Like I get a little alert, like it'll be up 15%, down 15%, up 15, down. Like it's where it hovers.
Yeah. I was just looking at this over the last month. Yeah, everything looks like, I'm trying to, down.
Yeah.
Just looking at stock market in general. And so, yeah, grains, which, I mean, heck, one of y'all's biggest expenses is fuel. And so, I mean, it's kind of like, it's awesome seeing these prices, but we've hammered on how expensive fertilizer was already before anything happened with Ukraine. And now oil and fuel prices are through the roof.
Well, see, typically too, when the stocks crash, the commodities jump, because this is what's so crazy. There's guys that are the guys that play the stock market. When there's some of them that when the stock market crashes, they actually then buy commodities, and then so they drive the commodity prices up, and then they sell commodities. There's guys that buy and trade soybeans and corn and wheat that never have raised a crop in their life.
Cattle are no different. That's one of the things that, again, one of the reports I listen to regularly that they really, kind of point out and complain about is that, they're just, spec traders, and it makes the market, for the real people more volatile too, because of everything they're doing, and they don't know a bull from a cow. Like, I mean, they don't have no idea. yeah, it's just numbers on a paper and charts and,
Yeah.
graphs and all that they're looking at. They've got their algorithms and whatnot, and it tells them what to do. And yeah, that could be a whole different discussion, and one I'm quite frankly not qualified to probably go into much deeper than we already have as far as how all that works. But it's, yeah, the market's here lately, and it's, yeah, and just from a price standpoint, it's been good for the grain farmers.
Oh man, it has. Yeah, like it, which it needs to be. Like I said, because yeah, man. I mean, for instance, on the fuel side of things, we got a buddy that I actually hope we get on the show at some point, but he's an Iowa farmer in Iowa, and they've got access to the biodiesel and stuff out there. And he was asking, I think yesterday or day before, what if we had biodiesel in the area, and he said he can get it for $2.69 a gallon out there. And I mean, you can run it. I guess which diesel, diesels you can run like you could actually run a lot of diesels off of like vegetable oil. They'll run off of like some pretty crude fuels. So I mean, you could probably run some biodiesel in a lot of your diesels. That maybe even are older. I mean, I'd have to check that. So somebody that's listening, if you got like a little tractor and you're like, well, Logan said I could put biodiesel in this thing, and do some research first. But for comparison's sake, we're looking at, he could get biodiesel for $2.69, $2.65, and here we would be looking, we don't have access to that, so we're looking at about $4.10, $4.20 right now, and it's only going to go up.
That's for farm fuel.
Yep.
Yeah. So, which I guess for people too, because remember we were talking to a broad audience. So farm diesel just does not have all the taxes that come with road diesel. And of course, I guess all the gasoline. But
yeah, it's red diesel and green. I'll tell you a funny story.
It's dyed.
Yeah.
So that if you get caught running it, I don't know, it's some kind of huge fine.
Yeah, I think it's about $10,000 or something.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I had heard of guys, when that first all started, they were actually checking them. And I heard of some guys that would just walk away from the truck. Like if they were driving like a piece of crap farm truck or something, they'd just leave the truck.
I would imagine if it's registered to them and all, they.
Well, I think it's a deal where like if you don't pay the fine, they just confiscate the vehicle.
Okay.
And so they would be like, yeah. Just give the vehicle up.
I say, my old farm truck, which it's probably worth more than that now, just because vehicle prices have gone crazy and prices of a decent running truck. But yeah, I can.
There's some guys that had gone to some of them auctions, and they'd have like an old crappy grain like hopper bottom trailer, and they might buy a semi for $4,000. Like it'd be a raggedy, because the junkyard kitten that I always make fun of, they used to have to drive that crappy semi. I think it was like a $4,000, $5,000 semi truck.
Yeah.
So like, if you have, if you're running, like a $7,000 rig, then you get hit with a $10,000 fine. Yeah, you may just be like, nah. I mean, just walk away from it. So I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But I think there was one other thing I was going to say on that note. Oh no, funny thing one time. So I was up there getting farm fuel, or no, I was getting taxed fuel, like highway use. I think I may have been filling up my semi truck. And this dude pulls up. I don't know him. There's nothing incriminating that I'm going to reveal here, but this guy pulls up at the farm fuel side, and he's in like this little, it's one of the little small trucks that's got the like enclosed back on it, like a little U-Haul looking type truck or something.
Yeah.
And
okay, yeah.
But it's a smaller one, and this dude is I was wondering what he was doing, because I mean he goes over and he gets some fuel and he puts it, and it's putting straight into the tank on the truck, and he's definitely pumping diesel, pumping red diesel, and he filled it up with red fuel and rolled on out. And I'm like, man, I'd be.
Well, if it was a rental truck, I mean,
I don't know if it was that style,
okay, yeah.
but yeah, that'd be funny. A rental truck show up with dyed diesel in it.
I would imagine on those diesel rentals, they might check that when you bring it back in.
Probably, man, yeah, but it tripped me out because he was straight up putting off road diesel into this thing, and I would be, man, if I did that, I'd be the. I haven't heard of a person getting checked in a long, long time. That'd be the time I'd get
Well,
checked.
and that's the whole thing with that. Like I drive a diesel truck. I've never been checked. Like I've heard of them showing up like it, um, certain places where maybe like horse shows or rodeos where there's a high concentration
Yeah,
of diesel pickups.
I was showing up to check them.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
just do a check somewhere like that. I don't know, like when trucks have to go across the scales and what, I mean, they're not checking them regularly there.
I don't think
do they
so.
check them at all?
I don't know. I've never
So,
heard of them really doing it.
yeah, so it's one of those things where you're almost like, well, how do you even get caught? But
Yeah,
I mean, apparently people do.
it'll kind of dye I think it'll even dye like some of the internals of the motor. So like if you had
Yeah,
to
it's
have
not
some,
one of those things where you can run a tank through and then go back to
yeah,
green diesel and nobody will ever know.
like I have heard of people before. They'd run red, for a little bit, and then they would change the fuel filters out and run some tanks of green, and then change the fuel filters out, and then keep running. And like that, typically, I think
Takes
will
it a
clean it
while,
out.
though, to
But
do it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We don't recommend doing it.
no, 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 no. Don't get busted. You don't want to fine. You gotta, we love our great taxes and stuff.
Yeah,
So
let's say I'm about as anti-tax and anti-government as it gets, but
yeah, but don't unnecessarily
yeah.
add a burden of potentially $10,000 or losing your vehicle. And it may be worse now. That was several years ago. All right. So I guess more or less he was kind of asking about the lasting things from this.
Right. And so, yeah, you do have to think about that. Because I think about it from y'all's perspective, because you look at it, you're like, okay, yeah, inputs are ridiculous, but we're getting a lot more for our crop. But especially like on your rented ground, landowners see, wow, we might have $20 soybeans,
Yeah.
on the horizon at some point. I need to get more per acre, but your margins are still not great because all your inputs are so much higher. Well, chemicals, I saw, what's glyphosate going to be this year?
Oh, it's like triple the price, like $51 a gallon, or something. I can't remember. It's crazy.
And so you do wonder, like, well, and so all these things are so volatile. Well, do the prices, some of these other things, let's say they resolve the crap in, Eastern Europe, and then, things slowly get back to normal. A year from now, our fertilizer prices and fuel prices and all that. Fuel prices, you'd think, because fuel prices go up and down, pretty regularly. But the things like rent and equipment, like everything goes up so much, does it come back down? Which that's a problem with inflation, period. I know, just talking to a lot of people like in the construction industry and everybody who's really struggling to find good labor right now.
Yeah.
And, everything's gotten so expensive. Materials, they're like, so we're having to pay more, which, hey, good for the worker. But they're like, those labor costs aren't coming back down. We can't all of a sudden
say, hey man, we're
yeah,
gonna
2 or 3 years
pay,
from now, like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, now we're gonna, now things have normalized, so
we're gonna take $3 an hour off your pay.
Yeah, the pandemic's over, and so now we got plenty of people working. Which, some of that is supply and demand driven, but
yeah,
you better just, I don't know, in my opinion, you better just get used to, the days of remembering, what some of the stuff cost are over.
That's kind of how I feel like it is. I do think once it kind of stabilizes that they'll come down some, but that, like I said, that's always the problem. Once they go up, it's like with lumber. Lumber's gone up. I don't think lumber will ever be back to as cheap as it used to be. And the prices, man, our markets are so crazy. It's hard to say they'll never get back down as low as I just saw them, but I don't think they'll get back down that low. But yeah, the freaking inputs are so bad. But rent is one for sure, because we've already got just recently heard there's a really big farmer that moved, kind of not moved into the area, but they're trying to basically have their fingers in all these counties. And they rented some ground around some people I know, good folks that work some ground. They're not huge farmers, they're normal sized farmers. And they're paying like good normal rent. Well, this big dude has moved in there with these pump up in prices, and he's paying like nearly $300 an acre rent on this place. And so now the landowners, it's like he rented two farms and they're basically in the middle, and he's paying $300 an acre or something like that for these two. So now the landowner in the middle here is catching wind like, man, they're getting $300 an acre.
Oh yeah.
And I'm getting, I don't know what they're paying. Let's say they're paying $150 an acre, like good rent. And so, but they hear, man, my neighbor over here, this ground is right beside mine. It's got to be just as good as, like, my ground's just as good, and they're paying double. Yeah. So that's the shit too that's going to kill us. Like,
yeah. And things like that. And I mean, hey, I want everybody to get as much money as they can for whether it's their labor or renting their land or whatever, or selling their crop. But it's kind of the genie's out of the bottle on some of this stuff.
Well, it's the thing. It's actually very similar to what you were saying. You can't go into your workers and be like, all right, man, the pandemic's done. We're going to knock $3 an hour off your pay. And that's the problem with the landowners. Like, I'm very fortunate that I've got quite a few landowners that are fairly familiar with ag. So like they kind of understand the fluctuations. The bad part is like them people getting 300, 200 and something crazy rent. It's hard to go back later and say, okay, things have changed. We need to lower the rent.
Oh yeah.
Because that kind of a guy, I know some people tried to do that when the prices fell this last time, and the landowners were like, no, I want to keep, you've been paying me this, I want it.
Right.
And so then they go shop it out, and they'll find some other farmer that's like, well, I'll take it on, and he'll try it. And so it's a cycle of like, how do you get them to come back? Because you're basically saying, I'm going to take your wage and I'm going to chop it a pretty good chunk.
Yeah. And I guess just eventually, if it gets too high,
just nobody
will work it. And heck, there's landowners, some places that are stubborn enough. They'll let that ground lay out. I don't know of many places like that, but you see that happen, don't you?
Oh, we had a guy, dude lives like off in another state, and he certainly is not listening to the podcast. So I'm not going to say his name. I don't even remember his name, but we would actually drive. We had a little like right away through this guy's farm to work a farm. And he owned, I think, 12 acres, small piece of ground. Dad called him and was like, hey man, we're right here. We can work your place too. And the guy was like,
was anybody else working?
No, nobody was working it. And the guy was like, okay, what will you pay? And I don't remember at the time. I mean, Dad probably told him, $100 an acre or something.
Probably whatever you were paying for the neighbor's place.
I mean, and this was pretty decent price for the ground. I mean, it's a small farm, 12 acres.
Was it open ground, just grown up, just
weeds? It was like a long, kind of narrow field. And Dad told him, like, man, I'll give you $100.
They didn't have it in CRP or anything.
Nope. He was drawing no income,
nothing
but he was having to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, we'll give you $100 an acre. And he was like, I ain't gonna let somebody. He said, nah. He said, I ain't gonna let nobody work my place for free. And Dad was like, all right. And so nobody works for like, I just don't know if anybody's working it now. I think he might have finally, because there's another guy that works some ground right by there. And I guess that guy probably kept hounding him. I think he's finally working it, but I don't even know that he's paying him what we offered him a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But it just tripped me out because I'm like, this guy is so hard-headed that he's drawing no income, and he's having to pay property taxes. It's like, you dumbass.
I guess for that, I mean, it's still, because it's a small enough piece of ground, that's not enough money. It's not changing his lifestyle or anything to have $1,200 a year. But yeah. So there are stubborn people out there.
Yes.
There are people that do things that don't make sense. I mean, everybody knows that. That's every industry. But
Yeah. But no, I think we will see some very lasting effects. This year is really and truthfully kind of like just, a lot of us are more or less kind of hanging on for the ride.
well, and the bad thing about it seems like that's all the time. Like,
Yeah.
and like I'd mentioned cattle. Like right now, just personally, which I don't like to see this. I was really optimistic looking at prices being really high. Now it was going to hurt when we're getting ready to buy calves here in the next probably month anyway, maybe even 2 or 3 weeks. But prices were really high. We were looking at paying a whole lot more per head
Yeah.
for 600-pound steers than we did a year ago. Certainly more than we did 2 years ago when we caught them just right when the pandemic hit, which I felt bad buying them as cheap as we did then, 'cause somebody was selling them and losing their butt on them.
Yeah.
But just right now, personally, I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't buy them in February.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever prices were still where they should be.
Yeah.
And yeah, you hope things come back. I think most people, one, they don't see a quick resolution, necessarily playing out in the Ukraine, and just, even if, peace talks started today and they got it sorted out, it's going to take a while for the markets. And so, yeah, in a perfect world, I hope that, I buy them, while things are still going to crap over there in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And then things get sorted out pretty quickly. And by this fall, when we get ready to sell our big group, that the market has really recovered back to where the fundamentals and all say it should be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It does. It's just uncertainty. It's like, man, I just want to buy calves, put some weight on them, and make a little money on them.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about because to be honest with us, for the vast, vast majority of us, if it wasn't for the TV or the internet, we would have zero clue that there was this asshole across the world being, being a dictator.
Yeah.
But it's having a very real impact on us right here. What my calves that are grazing grass in West Tennessee are worth.
Yeah.
Because Vladimir Putin is wanting to, make a land grab.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, people need to be prepared because it's a trickle down thing. Like, these prices, everybody or people are asking from a farming perspective, like, what do we think? I'm going to tell you, man, from a food perspective, people better get their big boy pants on, because the shit's going to hit the fan. Because if the prices are high for us, the prices are going to get super high for the consumer, like the grocery stores.
I've got steers, I guess, here in about 2 weeks from yesterday, actually, is when my first 2 go to the processor. And I probably haven't gone up as much on what I'm charging as I should, or if I really put the pencil to it. But I don't know, part of me, I almost feel bad. I mean, I shouldn't, because everybody knows there's not a thing you can touch right now that's not more expensive than it was a year ago. But I don't know. There's a lot of demand for that. I really don't know. Several people have been asking me lately, you can have any more beef? I need to contact all my regulars and see. But so far, everybody I've called that, like, hey, do you want beef again this year? A lot of them are like, yeah, I only bought a half last year. Can I get a whole?
Yeah.
And I have some customers that I know aren't going to be buying again from me this year. So for most of those, I've been able to say, yeah, you can go ahead and you can get some more. They've got another neighbor or somebody that wants to split it with them, or heck, they may be going black market and reselling it again. For people, hey, after I've sold it, you do what you want to with it.
Yeah. Hey, opportunities, man.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think it's a good rundown on that. You got a company for us today?
I do have one that's going to fit with this theme. And, when things first really started going crazy a couple weeks ago over in Russia, the big thing was all these liquor stores or bars, and people were pouring out their Russian vodka.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, one, that's stupid. You already bought it.
Yeah, you already paid for it.
It was like the people burning their Carhartt. I'm wearing Carhartt vest right now.
Yeah.
I probably won't buy any more Carhartt, maybe ever, but I ain't going to burn what I already bought.
I was gonna say, you've already paid for it.
That's the definition of stupidity.
Yeah.
But then I got to think, I'm like, why are you assholes drinking Russian vodka? Because I'm not a vodka person anyway.
I'm not either.
So I was like, well, you think of the name brand, like the top shelf vodkas. I got to looking a couple of them up. None of them are even made in Russia. So it's the
really?
It must be the cheap. Yeah, I won't mention it because a bunch of them are foreign made, but not Russian. So I guess it must be just the really cheap plastic bottle stuff, which, hey, I was in college once. Hey, that's probably what you're going for.
Yeah.
But we have premium U.S. made vodkas. And so the one I will specifically talk about today, because they are bottled right down the road from us, be Old Dominic.
Okay. I didn't know they made vodka.
Yeah, Old Dominic, they do gin, vodka. They have a bourbon.
Yeah, I've had their bourbon.
And I can't, because I am this is a little bit of a curveball with our U.S. manufacturing, but I have not actually tried their vodka because I'm just not a vodka person.
Yeah.
So, but I also throw Tito's in there.
See, that's what I was just wondering. Isn't Tito's made in America?
Tito's is Texas.
Okay.
I can't say exactly where in Texas, but somewhere in Texas.
Yeah.
But as I got to looking, we actually had two different vodkas at my house in the liquor cabinet. Whenever we have people over, whatever, because my wife doesn't even really enjoy vodka that much. But both of the ones I had were actually from Texas.
Really?
Tito's is one. I can't remember the name of the other one. I did not have a bottle of Old Dominic. Apologize. Next time I buy one, I will try to buy that and go as local as possible. But yeah, you shouldn't have been buying Russian vodka to begin with. Shame on you. I doubt our listeners fall into that category necessarily, but yeah, it just made me, I was like, what in the world? Like, you could have bought premium U.S. vodkas all along.
That's what I was figuring when you were saying. I was thinking, I bet Tito's is made in the U.S.
Tito's is in Texas. That's probably the biggest name brand, like premium U.S. But Old Dominic, right down the road from us in Memphis. But yeah.
Well, there you go.
Drink those. You don't have to pour out. You don't have to, virtue signal by pouring out your Russian vodka.
Yep. Just put up a picture of you drinking your American vodka.
Yeah.
That's even better.
That's exactly so.
Well, all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. We do ask, if you are listening, please leave us a rating and a review. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, or is it a like?
Thumbs up. Yeah,
thumbs
I think
up?
it's a like, but it's a thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay.
Just click the thumb. It takes about 0.25 seconds to do that.
Do that. Shoot us a comment on there. Let us know what you think. If you got a question, we'd love to hear your questions. You can message us on talkdirtpodcast.com. Also hit the subscribe on YouTube as well.
Yeah, questions, criticisms. I always say, I've had several critics on my YouTube page lately that have actually been very constructive. I mentioned that last week, giving me some tips that have really, I think, helped me out. So.
Awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate it.
Y'all have a good one.